Parenting in a nuclear-type family is not an easy task for both mother and father combined. Parenting by a female or male single-headed home can be even more challenging, as the parenting role is at times doubled, because the primary caregiver strives to fulfill the dual roles of being both a mother and a father to the child. This documentary then takes a look into the lives of a few of these single parents and their children, as well as voices the professional opinion and experiences provided by both a teacher and a family therapist on the topic of single parenting.
I'm Sister Julie Marie Peters, a Franciscan sister, and by profession a marriage and family therapist, also trained in a particular kind of parenting called common sense parenting. But I work in schools. I'm the director of the Franciscan Institute for Personal and Family Development. From September to July of every year, I personally interact with maybe about close to 5,000 children from the ages of 11, Form 1 to basically Form 6. And that's just counting work here in Trinidad, because I also do work in the other islands. Every year I go up to St. Thomas, and I do work at the schools in St. Thomas and in St. Croix.
My name is Stefan de Giel. I'm a teacher for just about 7 years, of which I am a dean for, well, completing my second year as a dean. Experience hasn't been a black and white case of having a student with, that where you can say, well, this child is giving problems because he or she comes from a single parent home.
The topic of single parenting is not etched in black or white, as it is born out of multiple scenarios such as divorce, death, teenage pregnancy, women deciding to have a child outside of marriage to raise independently, to name a few.
Different categories I would think of these children who come from single parent homes, where some may have, strictly speaking, contact with only one parent, others who live with one parent but still are able to interact with the other, and that interaction varies at different levels. So whether it is just to collect money, or even having situations where they're able to have casual visits for one reason or another. And sometimes you have single parents by force. It was out of control whether one parent died or so on, and then there are those cases of single parenting as a result of divorce and other different marital situations or unmarital situations. So I mean it's a broad spectrum, I think, in qualifying children as coming from single parent homes, but I think it's safe to say that it is fairly commonplace.
I don't know if you would have seen a report in I think it's one of the papers, where it was reported by the Minister of Education that there's so many teenage pregnancies. And because there are many teenage pregnancies, all of these children are underage, they can't be married. So that automatically makes them a single parent. So they have all of these reasons for single parenting that we need to treat differently, but we lump everything and we call it single parenting, and that in itself is faulty.
Hi, my name is Charian. I work at the Ministry of Food Production. I've been a single parent for nearly 16 years. I have 2 children. My daughter Regina is 19 and my son Michael is 17. Parenting is probably the hardest job you'll ever have in your life, and being a single parent is even harder.
The role of single parenting can emanate even within the confines of a nuclear family setting, as one parent shirks the responsibility of the parent role, leaving it squarely on the shoulders of the other parent.
It was not an amicable separation, so of course there was a lot of anger, resentment, because I think basically for the entire life of my children, even before I was divorced, I was the main parent, doing most of the parenting and everything that went along with it. So, and anybody who has been divorced knows that financially it's a big difference because you're fighting to make ends meet.
Sometimes you have divorces that, what we call good divorce, and you have bad divorce, where people broke up as enemies, and that continues to reap havoc in the way that they fight over the children. They put the children against the parents.
My name is Regina. I am 19 years old, currently studying communication studies and theatre arts at the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine, double major. As a child who has divorced parents, and it's not the kind of divorce I wish it was, in terms of it's not very harmonious, you know, they don't cooperate off of the basis of I have no idea why. It is often difficult because I sort of feel an obligation to my mother because she does most of the things for me. More often than not, I tend to feel like if the argument, I can't side with my dad.
Single parents need to find ways of communicating effectively. They must determine not to undermine each other, as this causes conflict within a child and can lead to rebelliousness on the part of the child.
One situation that really comes to mind is probably my daughter wanted to play mass when she was in lower 6. It was a rite of passage, it would seem, with her school. I didn't have a problem with the playing mass, but I just felt where she was in terms of her school work, that she needed to focus on her studies, and she was not balancing school with extracurricular. It turned out to be a big deal because she was very annoyed, but you know, she said she's going to play regardless of what I said, and after Carnival she go live by her father. At the end result, her father said living with him was not an option. Mm-hmm. So I think it was like a rude awakening for her, because it was good for him to go and pay for a costume and to say make plans, but he didn't even consult me to start with. And when she thought that she would have an ally, she didn't.
My name is Darrell Flip. I'm a police officer by profession, and I am also one of the directors in the Single Fathers Association of Trinidad and Tobago. I'm also one of the outreach officers in the organization. I got involved in the association in 2012 when I had a cause to go to court in a maintenance matter. I was brought before the court for maintenance by my daughter's mother.
I have 2 kids. One is 32 years old and the other is 25 years old. I'm a single parent. I'm proud to say that my son is now the bursar of Brown Mackie University at Miami, Florida. My daughter is currently studying at Arthur Lockjack, her master's degree in management. A fairly good job in getting them a starting point in life. Like any other young person, young woman, I got married with bright aspirations that my marriage would last forever. However, my husband was a bit indiscriminate. He went abroad and he reached out and asked if I would come with the kids to Miami and we would try again, which I did. I gave up my job. I was in the financial sector at that time. After 15 years service, sold all that I had and went with my 2 kids. My daughter was just about 2 years old at the time.
My name is Celeste and I'm currently pursuing business management. I don't think I really have much of a relationship with my father. I mean, I call him for his birthday, he would call me for mine, text every now and then. But I don't feel a urge or wanting to go and stay by him or anything like that. We speak to each other and we're cordial, but there's not really a friendship or a father-daughter relationship.
Communication entails conveying information clearly and listening effectively. A relationship, though, requires much more. It calls for consistent love and nurturing in order for mutual bonds to be formed.
I have been a single parent for about 8 years. My ex-wife walked out on my daughter and myself when my daughter was 2. The good thing about it, I had good family and friends who were there for support, which is something that you really need. Parenting is a difficult task, despite gender or marital status. That goes without saying. But being a single parent, it was very challenging, especially for me, especially growing up, having a girl child growing up. It was a challenge. I had to learn all the various different things, like combing hair, like taking her to school, like all these different things. And these things is something I never did. On many occasions, my daughter and myself, we would go to the parks, we would go to the malls, we would do different things, go to the beach.
In a situation where they are both parents, the role of parenting allows for sharing of responsibilities. And when one parent is not able to attend to a situation, the next parent usually fills in. Many times this is not the case for a single parent, and the reality is, a single parent cannot always accommodate the child's needs, and at times are forced to take risks.
I took chances because I had no other choice. I had a boss who could be very harsh at times. I had to reach to work for 7 o'clock. I was working at Laventille at the time. So there was one day that I couldn't go to drop him, and he said, "Mommy, I could do it." So I said, "Okay, just make sure when you're crossing the bus route, make sure you're not seeing any vehicle at all." Because at that time, there weren't as many cars on the bus route as now. So I took the chance. And when I got to work, one of my co-workers, who was a police, asked me, "Jillian, how do you do that? How do you leave your son to cross that road?" And my answer to him was, God alone have to take care of him. Because
very young, I remember her teaching me how to cross the road, how to look both ways, how to stand up in traffic light, like how to do all the necessary particulars to be safe as possible when crossing the street. And when it comes to holding hands or even asking somebody to help you cross the road in the cases where the streets are a lot larger, I remember her teaching me how to do a lot of these things. I must say that her comfort level that she had developed from very early on to allow me to do things on my own, explore on my own, and experience things on my own, as opposed to her just telling me, "Don't do this, don't do that," has helped me to some extent be who I am today.
Sacrifice is key to single parenting, as the job of parenting is like a double shift, moving from the nurturing role of a mother to the loving but disciplinary role of a father. It is rewarding, though, when the sacrifices made by a single parent results in the academic success of the child and the heartfelt gratitude the child expresses towards their parent.
My mother has tirelessly done every and anything possible to ensure that I can pursue my dreams, and she's never told me otherwise. Always present at every recital, performance, rehearsal, no matter what. So I do think that it has given me the strength to know what kind of woman I want to be when I'm older.
She has supported me throughout everything that I have pursued or attempted to pursue in my entire lifetime. And she was basically mom and dad whenever that couldn't have been there physically. And she filled the gap that I needed during times when I couldn't have that there physically.
I think my mom, to an extent, drove me to be successful because I felt as though she had to give up a lot for my brother and I, so she didn't get to further her education. And she's extremely intelligent herself, so I decided, okay, I'll go ahead and try to do as best as I could.
The voice of the single parent says,
It has been a challenge, but as with everything, you just have to meet the challenge head on and make a lot of sacrifices.
And that is what the main message I would like to give to other parents that are single, be it male or female, that in the midst of all your challenges and struggles, look for the miniature, even maybe miniature, maybe large, moments of joy, moments of grace. They are there.
What I could say is that, and the advice I'd like to give to young fathers as well, not even young fathers, but young single parents, is remember the child comes first at all times. Make them feel love, just as love as if they a family with both parents. And that's it, even if you get somebody else in your life, you need to remember to always keep your child first, and that is how I think about this.
I have seen all my hard work and my sacrifices paid off. So I would say it is part of you. The child is part of you. Don't feel that you must give up because the man isn't wrong. He is yours, it's your responsibility. Do the best you can for him or her, as the case may be, because they are yours, your offspring, and you will be proud of them when they become whoever they have to become in life, because you would have done your best and they would in turn do their best to reach where they have to reach.
We need to stop using the children as pawns. Children need both mother and father in their lives to have a proper upbringing. It is wrong to keep the child away from either parent. No father shouldn't do it, no mother shouldn't do it. We have to focus on the child for real.
Children are our nation's future, and their care and well-being is of paramount importance. They are our legacy.